Yes, we are online.
Hi everybody. So today is the first stream. It's the first stream for me, and today we'll be looking at the Cascadeur roadmap. I think the whole stream will take around. Okay, so hello again. I see that it started a bit late than I imagined. So yeah. We'll be looking at the Cascadeur roadmap today. I think the stream will take approximately an hour, but if there will be interesting questions, then we will not limit ourselves like really much. We can go up to hour and a half, and yeah, we'll be looking at the backlog. Usually, when you start to explain, etc., it takes more time than you imagine at the start. So I have pretty modest plans. I think that we'll be doing going only through this part of the roadmap, the early access version 2022.1, and like we'll see all the features that are mentioned here, and we'll look in the details of them and why are we doing them, and maybe there will be some questions. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. Viewport shortcuts customization and Maya, Blender, etc. preset control switching in the future. So what does this mean? Well, we do have some shortcut customization. Yeah, I have two versions of Cascadeur open here. This one is the early access, the latest early access version, and the other one is one of the latest development versions we have right now, and I have actually another version in storage. We'll get to it later. So this early access version, it does have some shortcut settings, but like you can, for example, you can change the default setting shortcut for copying and pasting poses, but what it does miss, and what is crucial of course for 3D software, is the shortcuts, customization of the shortcuts to move the camera in the viewport and other different shortcuts that you use like to control the viewport with your mouse. So this kind of shortcuts, they're not customizable right now, and of course they are like industry compatible, what's called industry compatible in Blender, but of course it's not comfortable for everyone, and we had that in our wishlist for a long time right now, and I think by the next version we'll get it done and it will be possible to customize them. I don't know if we'll be able to squeeze in creating the default presets, but I think that if we don't, in the next version we will include default presets for like Blender, Maya, and etc. So yeah, this one is pretty fast, and yeah, by the way, I think that it will be better if there are any questions, then you just ask them right away, and I'll be waiting for some time after each feature because it will be really hard to like get back like a half hour later or even 20 minutes later to remember what questions you might have had. Yeah, but so I'll be waiting a bit, and Ilya is here actually to help me if I miss something or something goes bad. Ilya?
Yep, sorry, it's once again was a problem with the microphone. So you can write any questions, any mentions in
yeah, and
a chat. And anyway, I will remind Alexander if we will something miss or something like that.
Yeah. So we have first question: do you have support for image planes as in Maya? Like, I'm not really. Do you mean like loading an image on a plane, or like drawing, creating a plane and then drawing something on it? Actually, we don't have any of the. Oh no, sorry. You can load an image, add an image to a plane, and it can be actually an animated sequence, but there's no way currently to draw on a plane. And yeah, that's understandable feature for an animation software, because you usually just want to draw like some notes. For example, you review the animation and write something that add this here or add this there, especially if you're working in a team. Something animators in the company internally would like to see. Multi-cameras. Oh. Okay, so a lot of questions. Let's go through them one by one. Would you like to have a video reference on an image plane from multi-cameras? Yeah, I would like to add that. You can add several planes right now, and you can have different video references on them, and you can add cameras and have different video references on them. But maybe there's like, I don't know, a 3D video reference. We don't have that for sure. I think that I won't go like into much detail for each question. I'll try to answer, and you just then write follow up the questions. Okay. Is there no question you can make simple jump with the answer and try to implement new or interesting features in the process of simple animation? Yeah, but I myself am not an animator, and you'll see further an animation I did to test out a new tool, and you'll see that I'm no animator at all. So I think we will have streams with our animators in the future, and then you'll see how to use Cascadeur correctly and how it was intended to use Cascadeur, but certainly and sadly not on this stream. I'm a technical guy. Like, I'm the one who does the math, but not the one who does the animation. So sorry. Any plans to add the ability to key visibility? Yeah, and actually we're pretty close to that. It's a really small, like, right now internally you could. So this is visible, hidden, visible states of an object. So if I press hidden, then we can't see it, and I press visible, we can see it again, and they almost can be animated, but the viewport doesn't take into account if they are animated. Like, I could replace this data, and it's like for every state like this, or a position or a float or something else, it is called a data. So, and this is a enum data, and it can be I could replace it with an animated data, but viewport doesn't take into account right now, but we certainly do plan it. Okay. Do you plan to add support for targeting animations from motion capture? We're looking at it and kind of researching it a bit, so maybe. How does this software compare to Endorphin? It is about physics-based animation as Endorphin, but it has a very different approach. Are there any plans to add UI languages other than English? Not at the current time, maybe at some time in the future. What are some features removed in? Why are some features removed in the version from translating a point from all frames at once? I'm not. Why some features are removed in EA versions? For example, translating a point from all frames at once. This feature, interval edit mode, it shouldn't be removed. in the early access version, and it's present here. Maybe it is not currently working with auto-pausing tool. Maybe this kind of did the trick, but this feature is not removed. There are some features that are removed. For example, here we have like reload scripts, Python console, node editor, that are just not ready to be. We're not ready to show them to the public, and stuff will change in the scripts, and we'll get to the scripts actually in a bit. But right now, almost all of the features are available in early access version. But yeah, some are unavailable features are those that are still in development. Yeah, there is a crash with creating ballistic curve and moving it on a layer. Thanks for that. Yeah, we will fix it in the next version. Yeah, it should be possible to import cameras from other software. Okay, you can't key those yet. Yeah, you can actually key them. I mean, the datas, you can key them. Maybe we can make a smaller experiment later, but yeah, you can key them, but the viewport will not take it into account. Maybe it will crash, I don't remember, or maybe it just doesn't take into account the change of the visibility. Yeah. Okay, so it seems that that's all for the questions. Not much about this feature, but still very happy to have your questions, guys. Really happy. Okay, let's go on to the next part. Python scripting. So yeah, well, I've actually written something here. Let's look at it, and it will help me to structure my thoughts. Well, certainly, what you can use scripting for, you can use it to automate some of the processes, tasks, etc. And you can guess from the start that the scripting language is Python, and then probably the main question is what API will we give, and what will you be able to control? And of course, other than providing the ability to run scripts, we also have to provide the documentation for the APIs and some examples how to use them, etc., etc. So let's see what can be controlled via the APIs. First of all, it will be possible to read or change any animation data values. For example, changing the position of some point in some frame. Yeah, and then updating everything. Everything will be updated from this change, and or you can change like visibility or anything else you want. Also, via the API we will provide, you can change the structure, add objects, remove objects, change the objects. It's actually a pretty low-level access to the interface. Then there will be the ability to save and load scenes and import-export fbigs from them to them. The ability to create new scenes and access to some of the tools, for example, the mirroring tool, and etc. And like just a remark I want to give here is that we actually have a scripting language, the Python scripts. They're right now already in the program, and some people did notice it, that you have a folder resources here and then scripts here, and then you have Python here, and there are actually pretty much of Python scripting. I think it's about like 10,000 lines of code. I don't know if that tells somebody something, but yeah. what we're not sure yet though is how like technical are how many are there like programmers using Cascadeur. I think that there are some. Certainly there are some because we've we've seen some of them, and yeah, there's a lot of people who are doing they're doing their games and they're trying out Cascadeur to create animations for the games, and then of course they know how to use like C# or C++ if they're using Unity or Unreal. So yeah, but of course, like our API, it might not be ideal, and we'll see how easy it will be to actually write some scripts. Yeah, and there are actually already some examples and even parts of the program that are written in Python via the script. So, for example, this whole menu, it's all done with scripts. For example, if you press add cube or something, then you will actually get into here and call this run function, and then it will call this function, and then it does something like adds a mesh, creates an object, connects them together, etc. Or for example, if we take something else like go to default pose, then this is actually an action here too, and yeah, shouldn't be probably here, but we'll move it in time. It's here actually because this menu is created. This is the menu where you can add the scripts. So you can actually add the scripts right now, but of course without any documentation it's really hard to do so. And then this script works with some objects. It reads some data and writes them and calls the update functions, etc. You can see there are already some ifs here and what to do here and there. And yeah. Yeah, so yeah, many characters, yeah, but okay. Thanks for the comment. So this is what the scripts, so the access to scripts API, what will it include? If you try to get it all together, it will include the console. I hope we make it a bit better by that time, but this is basically what it will look like, and you can print something here and execute it and it will run. It will you will be able to add new stuff to this menu and refresh this menu and refresh the scripts, and that's probably, if you want to go deep, this is probably the way to go, like to go create some pretty large scripts. That's the best way to go, and the documentation for the scripts. And yeah, we hope to do some refactoring by that time and like fix the namings, etc. of the API a little bit. Of course, they will be changed later on. Still, it's an early access, but for the most part. The setup access. Okay, so yeah, let's go with the questions. Will there be some crowd animation tools? Probably no. Not in the near future, at least, because this is more like we do want to add some interaction between the characters. We have it actually in the backlog, so I think that sooner or later we'll get to that, and I'll tell more a bit about how that is done. But it will be like it probably will be comfortable to work with 2-3 guys in one scene. But if you want like really many guys, you probably have to put them in different scenes, or they will put too much overload on the CPU for it now. So it's not really a like it's a software for creating animation, but not like moving the characters around, making them walk, jump, etc. Yeah, that's not like a real-time software. But interacting with 2 or 3 characters, we want to improve that a lot, and to improve that and to make it work to make the work with the physics tools easier with when there are several characters in the scene. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm reading on the other monitor the questions, so that's why I'm looking sideways always. Is the zip app access ever going to be an option, so that importing straight from engine doesn't have rotation? ZApp access in the scene not an option in the near future, but I think that automatically like switching the access should already work. We did that feature. It's actually included in the FBX SDK as far as I remember, so it was not that hard, and yeah, I hope it does work. Okay, will it be possible to install and use other Python models? Good question. I'm actually not sure about that. I'll give it a look. But yeah, when you will be using Python, you will be using Python that we bring with us. It's not Python from outside, so I'm not sure if those are like, yeah, you won't be able to install it via pipe like standard, the pip or pipe is probably called the standard way, but I'm not sure if it will be possible to hack it some way. But yeah, it's not the default Python you have on your computer, so I think it will be not that easy to install additional packages. Last one for now. Any plans to have a leveling to engine as Maya can with Unreal Engine? We're researching that a lot too, and there are different options, so we'll see. But like not on the nearest half a year, later maybe, but we're thinking about it. And yeah, here what actually what this stream is for, and like right now it kind of gets obvious that we have to explain this, that why are some features selected and others are not selected. So first of all, we're doing features that can boost up and ease the creation of animation, and like we can't do everything. That's so we have limitations in the manpower, I mean, and yeah, our main aim is to make the animation process better. So that's why, for example, cycles and animation cycles were like in high priority, and we had some questions like what is popular, what Cascadeur is missing a lot, and then one other priority we have is developing the auto posing and auto physics tools, because that's like what Cascadeur is unique in. That's the main features, and yeah, we really are. Yeah, they're still not mature enough to like easily use them in production, and that is we would really like to make that better. So, will there be collision and force-based tool like Toribash game? Like Toribash, probably no, but Toribash is something like we looked at a lot, and hard to say a lot or not, but yeah, like we know about Toribash, and we played it, and I think that in Cascadeur like you don't have to control the muscles, you know. In Cascadeur, if you wanna put your hand or create some pose, you can just do it. But like in Cascadeur, sometimes when the auto physics tool, when it can't solve it, it gets some results that are they're funny, but they don't like feel like you know, in Toribash, if something goes wrong, your character kind of falls down, and in Cascadeur it still stays up, and it has some pros, but it has some cons. Like when something is going wrong, maybe it's sometimes better to fall than to do something very, very strange. So yeah, I think that our tools will be going in the direction to like be able to solve like the equation of getting a physically accurate animation for the animation that is currently in the scene. I hope they will work better and better, and we're moving that way, and then it might feel in some ways like Toribash. Yeah, but I think that collision and force, we plan to add it, but not in a way as it is in Toribash. You can still always manipulate the pose directly. Thing. Okay. Okay. Yeah, vector animations for the game vector were made using Cascadeur. We actually have several articles about how the history. I think we'll post them later on. Will you include tools to reduce the keyframe count, like deleting every 9th frame? Like deleting every 9th frame, it's like a simple task, and yeah, I think that actually with scripting that won't be a problem a lot. Okay, so where are the FBX files that appeared during the tutorial? I actually don't know what tutorial that is, but if there are like the files with the scenes that are in the like learning section, then you can always just press file and export FBX and just export the scene you have opened and then you can use it to, like, you know, practice rigging or practice the tutorial. Okay. So it seems that it's all about like the questions, and for now, so let's go further. Auto pausing based on rigging customization plus non-editor for rigging. So yeah, speaking about Python scripting, currently the whole rig creation process, so where you can get all these points and how they interact with each other and etc, etc. All this is written in Python already. So with the access to Python and the access to the node editor tool, you will be able to basically go and rewrite anything you want here. Of course, it's really hard to rewrite like a lot of code, etc. But yeah, but maybe somebody will play with it and ask questions, and I hope that in time people will be able to create their own rigs or tune the rig how they want. Okay, what predict characters work out of the box? Okay, what predict characters? Well, we have several predict scenes. All these characters work out of the box. And then it's really easy to rig some of the characters if you go to, like, okay, let's open this one. If you go to rigging mode and for example, for this character there's a template in the quick rigging tool, so you can basically press create prototypes rig because all this is already filled out, and if you're using like DAS, then this will be filled out automatically, and then you can just go out of the rigging mode and you'll have the character. Characters from iClone. I'm not sure if we have like, so what you need to use the quick rigging tool easily is there's like a file you can actually import and export here, like a file that says what part of the body and what joint name, what joint corresponds to what part of the body. So we have this like we have some standard presets. I know there are for this. I'm not sure about iClone, but if they're not, then we will add them. Okay. So yeah, there in the rigging mode you can change the weight of the mass actually, and that will affect the weight, of course. And then in the scene settings you have this physics, and here you can change the gravity. Thank you. Okay. Get the quick rigging tool to automatically map the slots to the best of its ability. You mean when, yeah, it's there's no template to just try to guess that pelvis or something like that is here. Yeah, I think we will do that in after some time. Maya has basic ball and tail rigs. Cascadeur is mainly for realistic, but like at least in our opinion, in my opinion, stylized and realistic animation, they like they do not contradict. So you can use Cascadeur for stylized animation, I think. Ball or tail rigs. Yeah, a ball probably is a bit of like not something we'll have as standard in the Cascadeur. Like if you mean this like a squishy ball that can jump and stretch and squash and etc. Yeah, but a tail, we do have some characters with tails, I think, even right now. Can you import animated cameras as an FBX? Yeah, it should be possible to import cameras. So the cameras that are in FBX, they get imported. So this is something like this. That's how the tail works. And there's yeah, the joints, they form something like this. Spline IK. They're getting like positioned by spline IK. Okay. Yeah, what like just a few more notes on this feature, rigging customization. After we ship it, maybe there will be people who like try to create a better rig for I don't know, hands, for example, and fingers, for controlling fingers. That would be really nice. Okay, so let's move on. Auto posing based on IK. Yeah, and here I actually by the way, yeah, should be fine. So what does this mean? Auto posing based on IK. Right now our auto posing tool, it works with global positions. So what do we want to change here? What we want is to, for the it's actually pretty hard for the neural network to work with global positions, because like the trajectories that the positions that the points have, they sometimes like kind of located on a surface of a sphere, and it's not something that neural networks do really good. They're bad at multiplying actually, and so what we want to do here is to switch from making the neural network predict the positions of each points, and we're talking about basically, yeah, let's open something up. We're talking about these points of the point controllers here, and instead they will be predicting something that is in an IK, something like the space in which the IK rig resides. So it's the position of the origin of the hand, but then it's the rotation of the hand here, and it's something like a direction controller here. Actually, it's not the direction controller, it's this line that is, but never mind, it doesn't actually matter. And so stuff like that, and then with this it's much easier for the neural network to work in such a space, so the behavior will get better, and we can actually test the first versions right now already. Let's go here and activate auto-pausing for a standard model in early access version. Let's actually make some pause with it. Seems like I'll just do something that is not that good for the auto pausing, and I don't know, like lean it backwards right now, and so this is what he does. And even if I fix the direction controller, it won't be that good. For example, here its predictions are not as good as I would want them to be. And by the way, let's just save it to and open it here. And see how it will do here. I just move leg a bit to make the neural network adjust. And so this is what the new neural network will give out, which is better. So yeah, and it will be probably it's not like fully ready. It doesn't. Some of the features of the auto-pausing don't work right now on this with this new neural network, but it will we will finish it by the next version, and by the time of the next version, and then it will work, I think, even better, and we'll also fix some of the bugs we've noticed. So auto-pausing will keep better and better, keep getting better and better. Okay, so I think now let's switch to the chat and see the questions. Maybe it's just me, but when the keys are too close, physics animation is not simulating as good as more separated, and with 30 FPS you can separate that a lot. Oh, sorry, I missed some of the questions. Will you create a quick rig preset for tails or quadrupeds? Yes, in time I think we will. Again, probably not in the nearest half a year, but I think that in the future, yes. Especially if we do an auto-pausing for quadrupeds, and that would be really cool, in my opinion. Okay, is there VR support planned? Currently no, and that does seem like it won't be that easy to do. So yeah, but then again, if like we're talking about years, I think in the future and there will be much more VR everywhere. So yes, but yeah, like we have more or less the timeline for the next half a year. So in that time, no. And yeah, it's pretty sad to always answer no about the features you want. Guys, really sorry about that. Maybe it's just me, but when the keys are too close, physics animation is not simulating as good as more separate. Yeah, if you're using auto physics, it actually the keys are kind of do fixate it a bit, but it shouldn't be too bad. But it's relying on the keys more, and it's kind of separating the intervals via the keys, and that could affect it. But it's better to see the animation to be sure what the problem is, and you can like write to us in the Discord, and we'll try to help. Do you think it would be possible to properly teach and learn animation using Cascadeur in the future? Cascadeur is more of a specialized app for people that already know the basics. I totally think that it will be good. It will be a nice application to teach and learn animation, and actually with the auto pose and auto physics, I think and I hope it will be much easier to start off by using Cascadeur, and hopefully at some part of the timeline Cascadeur will be enough to use for the whole animation. But yeah, it's right now there are no blend shapes and some other stuff, and skinning, for example. But yeah, we'll be adding features as we go. But I think starting in Cascadeur is easier right now already. There are not as many courses, but we're working on that too. Not as many tutorials for Cascadeur as for some like major and popular software. Okay, so that's a new version you just loaded that into. Yeah, that's a new version. That's like the development, when you have a development, there's a development branch, and that's like the development, the latest version I just downloaded from the development branch, like I think yesterday, and I didn't update it just so that there will be no like problems and unexpected stuff going on. So it's yesterday's latest version we have. Yes, but the aforementioned lack of basic rules, ball and tailed, for early learning is a problem. Yeah, but we really hope to replace, the squishy ball. We really probably Cascadeur. While teaching Cascadeur, maybe like we'll try to switch the attention from the squishy ball to something maybe a bit more complex. But a tail, I think, yeah, that we'll have to add that. Although I don't know what the tail is, and maybe it's something different. But as far as I understand it, yeah, we should add that. Yeah. Will Cascadeur ever replace motion builder? I think I can't answer that question actually. But we'll hope to. But okay, let's go to the next feature. Animation cycle improvements. Okay, so yeah, it's just that we got them ready and shipped in the previous version, but they're usable. We're using them inside, so our animators used them already before we shipped the version. So we were pretty sure that it's something you can use actually in your animation creation process. But of course, they're not like finished. They're not as good as neat as we want them to. So right now what you can do is like create some frames and then create a cycle and put an interpolation, and then this will be a cycle. And if you want to recreate a cycle or make it larger, then you have to delete this cycle and select more frames and create it again, and put interpolation because it will be deleted, and that's not the way we really want it to work, of course. So you'll be what we want to add is mostly like UX stuff. There are also some bugs, but mostly for now it will be UX improvements, like you can drag the border of the cycle to the right, to the left, make it smaller, etc. And right now, if you use the stretch animation tool, the shortcut is Ctrl+T, then the cycle doesn't change its size, and this is an error too, so it should change its size automatically. Or if you select part of the timeline and I don't know, move it, for example, then the cycle doesn't change its length, and that's an error too. It should. So, and its position. Yeah. So this will be the adjustments we plan. Okay. Maybe there are some questions about this. Seems like currently no questions, so let's move on. Okay, let me go through the questions that are now in the chat. By tail-rig, I mean the ball with a tail attached to it. It's used for practicing squash, stretch, and motion follow-through. Yeah, probably we might create some simple rig to do that. That doesn't. Yeah, but you know, there is a big philosophy. We're talking a lot in-house in Cascadeur about squishing and about squash and stretch, and like we have kind of our own theory about squash and stretch. That yeah, it's the squash and stretch are really appealing to the eye, but the reason for this appeal and why we understand squash and stretch and like we understand even if a ball just squashes and stretches, we interpret it as if it's like something, a living ball that can do stuff, and like why people do that, although there are no real living balls that squash and stretch. Of course, standard balls, I don't know, some soft balls, if you take them and you throw them and they hit the ground and they of course squash and stretch, but that happens pretty fast, and it's not probably the squash and stretch, it's not how it's connected, it's not what makes the ball that squashes and stretches alive. Probably squash and stretch they're like the interpretation of how the animals move, and if you look at some animal, for example, a frog is for me, a frog is a really great example. It's like it's really squashed when it sits down, and then it jumps and it stretches a lot. And the frog, of course, it's like it has bones inside, so it's not that squishy as a ball. But when you want to jump, you want to straighten all those limbs and use your muscles, and you stretch while you do that. And actually, if a human jumps, he does that too. So, yeah. Maybe if we go with some tutorials on squashing and stretching, we'll kind of look at it from the physical perspective. Uh, soft body simulation. Like probably not on the like. I, my opinion is that squish and stretch in character animation are not. Of course, soft body simulation. There is some squish and stretching in soft body simulation, but I think that if we're talking about like animation tutorials, then they won't be that much about the soft body tissues. About plans for adding soft body simulations, if we're talking about like really jelly soft bodies, probably not in the nearest future. Okay, so there are some questions about the legs in Cascadeur. If there are several tabs, yeah, actually we use a lot of tabs and usually don't notice that, but we'll look into this, and if there are problems. Okay, what PC parts and or specs would you advise to upgrade to make Cascadeur work and respond faster? Probably the CPU right now. That's the... Yeah, the CPU speed is probably the most crucial. The RAM size, but not as crucial. You need some RAM size too. But if it works, you can always check, and it shouldn't be, like it shouldn't be that much of a problem. Probably the CPU speed is the thing that affects the performance the most. Is there a way to overlay secondary animation like breathing? Yeah, we don't have animation layers in Cascadeur, at least right now, and yeah, but there are some ways to like copy and paste animation, but yeah, I think that it's not that easy right now to kind of there with copy and paste you can mix animations in some way, but I think we should do a tutorial on that part. So the next release is due early in 2022. Yeah, I hope. Yeah. Don't want to give some concrete dates because something might not work out, but it's hopefully in the first quarter for sure. Okay, so it seems like the questions kind of paused for now. So let's get back to the roadmap and finish with the last feature, retiming animation out of physics. So, retiming animation with autophysics. What does that actually mean? Well, if you've used the autophysics tool that we have right now, then you probably know at least basically how it works. And so the idea is that you have some animation. Okay, let me just create a really strange and cringy animation right now, and yeah, and you'll see that I can't show how animations are made like parallel to the stream or any other way, because I'm certainly not an animator, and I hope that at some point of time we'll have. Okay, I actually like that pose. Oh, let's leave it. So he's standing like this, and then he's standing like this, and then he's, I don't know, putting his leg forward. Like this. And then he kind of moves to some other position, somewhere here. And yeah, let's mirror him so he will land on the other foot. And suppose he stands in, I don't know, in this pose, but a bit more seated down. I think we'll have problems with this leg. Okay. Oops. And it kind of falls down. Let the hand fall down. Or maybe he kind of waves it. Don't do this. Do this. And so he waves it in that direction. Okay. And then let's add some interpolation. Sorry. And if I turn on Auto Physics tool, then it will try to create some physical result. And one of the problems we have right now here is that what it can't do is it can't change the timings that I've set on the timeline. So it understands that here this is a jump and the guy should move. I think I didn't want it like this, but never mind. But sometimes one of the problems we have is that the trajectory, the tool can't change the timings, and because of this, it can't somehow smoothen the difference of the speed that was during the ballistics and after it, etc. And so what we want to do is to, let's call it out of this, is we want to let the tool actually change the timing. And we're doing some tests right now, and I'll show you the very early results we have. So it's not the final version, it will not look like this, but just to get a really idea of the draft of what it is doing. And if it doesn't work well on this scene, I have a scene prepared specially, so yeah. And I'm always forgetting that you can't see some of the timelines because my face is right here. So let's make it smaller. Okay, so in this version, there's this new option of the Physics Retiming. Let's try to turn it on, and it will take some time because it is not. It actually involves much more processing power and optimization stuff when you're actually doing the retiming, and we added some other stuff since it's not. It still is a simplified model, but usually our physics works with a simplified model and like a really. We managed to get a really simple equation for it to do, but here it works with a pretty, like with a harder model. Oh damn! I should. Yeah, it doesn't work really well. If first I have to do the standard thing, and snap it, and only now I should do the retime. Sorry, I kind of messed up with that. But maybe I can answer the questions for right now. Are there muscles, and or are we planning to add them? Only in a very not in the way you would understand muscles as not in the standard way you understand muscles. So we won't be working. You know, actually in 3D animation, what I saw with muscles, that people usually like realistic muscles that go like on your biceps. I hope I pronounce it correctly. They're usually created and used to emulate the soft tissue, how the skin actually works. That's what they're mostly used for. And yeah, in Cascadeur we'll be using a more detailed. We're using a very simplified model right now in our physics tools, but we're planning to use more complicated models, and you can say that there are muscles that are controlled by like the momentums, but they're not like real life muscles. But they do familiar stuff. Yeah. Okay. So now let's see what. So we still see how the predictions that the physics tool made, but right now if I press like snap to auto physics retime, it will actually retime. So we can see right now it's 86 frames, and oh damn, it didn't retime too much. Yeah, I think that it didn't have too much problems because it only has one jump. Like right now it retimes only when it can't handle the physical simulation. Like the physics, you have to really like sit the character down, etc., to make him actually to make the animation physically correct. And if the tool can't do that, then it retimes. So yeah, but here, because there's only one jump involved here, it just thinks that it can solve without any retiming, and I was ready for that. It always doesn't work as you want it. So yeah, we have this animation I've created that is even worse, as much as it can be worse. Yeah, so here there are two jumps, and there's too much frames between the two jumps. So here it sits down, and it's sitting down too long, so it's hard to make the next jump. It has to kind of almost stop. And yeah, let's turn on the auto physics tool. Yeah, and let me change the timeline so you can see the end of the timeline, and it's around sorry, and backstage build. So yeah, you can see it's right now 130 frames. I want it has pretty, like, the timing was, when I did it, it was really just pretty equal intervals. I just pressed and set the next key, and it's if you're like not an experienced animator, usually it's really hard to predict what is the length of the interval, and if you don't have a reference. So yeah, now I launch it, and it will try to find some timings that will be better. But of course it doesn't change only the timings, it changes how the character moves, it changes it too. So yeah, so let's retime it, and you can see that it goes down to 107 frames right now, and the timings are not as equal, so the jumps are longer, and the intervals between the jumps, they're not as big. So yeah, and the plan is that we will use the standard physical corrector after that, so the final result will look something like this. Something like this. And the timing is quite okay. Like it did what it could for for this sad animation. So that's the idea for the new tool, for the auto physics with retiming, and maybe there are some questions on that, but first I'll go through the questions that are here in the chat. How many people are working on the program? Well, it's like if you count the whole team, and then I think it's about like 20 people. If you count the programmers who are programming, it's like something like 10 people. But yeah, it's, some people are doing different stuff, and yeah, it's hard to for exact countings. We are Francis. Yeah. What is the final goal with Cascadeur? Like, will it be a program like Blender, or are you guys more focused on purely animation? Certainly we are focused on purely animation, and more than that, like mostly on realistic animation, and realistic in broad terms. So it can be cartoonish, stylish, but realistic, and it can be like cartoonish and not realistic. So yeah, and we're on the realistic part. So where you want this realistic feeling of the animation, and that's why we actually prioritize something that is really needed for animation. For example, animation cycles or parent switching, and like the main priority is auto posing and auto physics. Do you have any plans for tools handling motion capture? Maybe they're down online when you'll be implementing facial rigs. Yeah, I think that of course the main idea, if we will include something from motion capture, I think of course the body movement is something we want to work with, and we do have some ideas how that can be improved and how we can use even auto posing and auto physics we have right now to improve the quality of motion capture that you get. Especially, it would be interesting to allow motion capture like from basically a camera, and then we kind of recreate, like we have the you have the motion that is motion captured from the camera, and this motion is, of course, it's probably in a very bad shape. It's like from the picture the neural network does what it can, but it misses a lot of points. And then what we could do with this is kind of look at it, and with auto posing, with auto physics, more than like just get this motion inside the program, more kind of try to recreate a physically accurate motion that looks a lot like what we see on the motion capture. And yeah, that's the idea. And I think that will be, if we get into motion capture, and when we get into it, that will be like the main thing we will be working on. And facial rigs, I think that will be more like a side story for us, but certainly we do want to add facial rigs, so we don't have to swap the programs. And if you work with use Cascadeur and you like it, and you don't have to go and create a facial animation somewhere else, yeah, at some point that would be really nice. So yeah, I think we've done the plan, and the plan was to go through this how do you call it, the column, this column. We're finished with it. I hope that it's like more clear what we are planning to do on the next release. I think we should leave some of the future stuff for the future. And yeah, maybe if there are any other questions, thanks for the questions, by the way, they're really great questions so far. If there are so many other questions, then just write them down. I'll be happy to to answer them, to talk about what we're doing. And I think we really don't have enough information going out of our like development team, out of our studio, because sometimes like we are perfectionists. There are a lot of perfectionists in the team, so it's really hard for them to do something that is not like quite ideal. And yeah, and a stream is something where you have to talk, so you can so much more information can be passed on to the outside, to the people outside, to the people watching the stream, the YouTube videos. So yeah, so more motion direction rather than capture. Motion direction. If by motion direction you mean like controlling the results inside with something like an auto posing, probably, yeah. But I still that this is a motion capture. If you like take your phone and create a video and then put it in Cascadeur, and it creates an animation that is like the poses are very similar to what you have, but maybe it's exaggerated somewhere, like, and it's physically correct, and if it sees a jump, it like creates jump. Yeah, but I mean that we will not be as focused on what actually the neural network, on the poses and on the position of the character that the neural network can determine from the picture, but we will kind of rework what it figured out and add a lot of new stuff. So yeah. Okay. So guys, yeah. If we're done, then, and there are no many, if there are no more questions, donation link. I'll get it prepared for the next time. I'll get a donation link. I don't know. Maybe there are some questions. Maybe somebody wrote something in Discord and I didn't see it because I'm not checking the Discord on the questions in the YouTube chat. Ilya, are you here?
Yes, I am here. The Discord is empty, so I want to say that we need to wait around 1-2 minutes, and if there will be not any questions in the YouTube chat, we can say goodbye to our friends and plan our next stream in offline.
Okay. Actually, I have a question for you. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Wonderful audience, and really a lot of really nice questions, like that I really like to answer. And this is actually what I hoped for, but was scared that there will be like almost no questions. So I have a question for you. What would you like to know? Any information that can be presented via stream, like any technical information, any ideas you can have about the stream, what can we do better, like actually any critiques, I would be happy to listen to them, and maybe some stuff that, like, you already mentioned some stuff, like creating animations on the stream. Yeah, that would be nice, but maybe there are any other ideas. Please write them in the chat, or we'll be sure to read everything, and maybe you can write them on the Discord server. Yeah, any way of communication will be good with us. So seems like not.
Also, I want to add that all contact information you can find in description to this video. So Russian Discord or English Discord server or something you want to send us, help me. It's all links are here.
Okay. Yeah, sure. about the streams with creating animation with some of our animators creating animations and answering questions and showing how the tool is actually used. Yeah, certainly we're thinking about that. Yeah, like some people are shy, and especially if English is not the native language. But we'll think about some formats, and I hope we can do that. Yeah. So, unfortunately, that's something I can't do very well. Of course, I can do some poses, but that would be laughable. Maybe I can comment to just answer the questions on the technical side if we have an animation stream. And yeah, and once we have Python scripting, etc., maybe somebody will be interested in scripting that. Yeah, I would be really glad to stream about it, and maybe even I can stream and write some scripts in real time, and we'll see. Yeah, but we do have some tutorials, but we know there are not enough tutorials. But we're working on a more large enlarged tutorials, like at least like up to 2 hours, like something like a course about animation in Cascadeur. And I think that actually in the in the first quarter of the next year, I hope we'll be able already to provide them, and then we're planning a second part of it. So yeah. Okay, thank you guys. I think we've waited long enough. Was really glad to see you and to talk with you. I hope my bad English wasn't I hope it was like I was talking and it was possible to understand me. Yeah, kind of a new experience for me too. So I'll be working on improving my English skills, and hopefully with doing some more streams, yeah, it will improve too. Okay, thank you guys, thank you all, and I think Ilya, you'll be the one who will end the stream.
Yes, thank you guys. Watch the news, and this is also not our last stream. Bye.
Okay, bye bye. Thank you.